Hey guys, it's Krystal Lee Moore Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore. And I am here today for Realtor Life with a wonderful, wonderful guest. I've invited Mackenzie Gosselin of Merlot Moon Marketing to come and join for several reasons. Reason number one is that Mackenzie's awesome, but also she has helped me turn my social media that was kind of like erratic, and I had a lot of fun with it, but erratic, and I would post whenever, to something that's consistent and makes me look a lot more professional online. And I didn't know that I needed it until I started seeing how great it looked and the reactions from people, seeing the consistent messaging and the branding and the colors. And it just, yeah, I was really surprised, but I think what's really cool is that Mackenzie runs her own business and she has helped me. And I'd love to hear a bit more, and she can share with you a little bit more about why she got started and how you can take a few tips and elevate your branding. So welcome, Mackenzie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I mean, that was a killer intro, so I appreciate that. Yeah, so we've been about a year and a half with Merlot Moon now. My background was prior, it was in real estate. So a real estate admin, supporting at a brokerage and some individual real estate agents. So that's kind of like my working background. And it's kind of what propelled Merlot Moon, being that I really got to see firsthand the like lack of individual branding that was offered to individual entrepreneurs, right? So real estate agents, brokers, lawyers, anything like that. They didn't really have the tools to kind of brand themselves. And it was definitely something that was lacking and kind of sparked the idea for Merlot Moon. So it's definitely how we got started, and it's kind of been ever evolving since. But it really showcased or showed me the loophole in where people were kind of missing and not getting the tools and not even understanding really the benefits of social media and an individual brand, right? I think we focus so much on, as agents or whatever, so much on like the corporate brand, and we choose our brokerage accordingly, which
Yes.
is great. Lots of money goes into that, lots of time goes into that. All of the brokerages have great branding, but what's going to set you, Krystal Lee Moore, apart from all the other agents at Royal LePage, right? So that's really what we focus on, is kind of grabbing the entrepreneur, whether it's just them, 5, 10, whatever that looks like, and saying, okay, well, what's the value here and what makes you different than everybody else in your industry?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, big ups to you as well, because I do this a little bit. So I added sunflowers to my brand. So I'll have like sunflowers on my phone case and on my hair. But what I really love is you and I had a conversation, I believe it was in the fall, and you were so excited because the Merlot Moon, that red wine color starts coming out, and you can buy more clothes and buy more items. And it just really, like, talk about branding, like, it really just doubles down on, hey, you see this color, you think of me. And I love that, because you know what, I'm sure there's a lot of especially in 2024, there's probably a lot of people that call themselves a marketing expert, or an Instagram, social media, whatever it is. And I think that you really look at the whole picture. And as a woman in business, I think it's also really important that you really you look after making people look as professional as they are, which is really cool.
Absolutely. I think it's really cool. And of course, as you said, I was definitely excited to work with you and your brand, because it's always cool to kind of have brand assets or different like symbols that we can play off of, right? So like myself, I have the wine as well as the moon, and it kind of like helps me like get a well-rounded brand for, not only what I put on social media, but like gifts that I get to send. And I know you and I are big gift people and
Yes.
branding in that way, right? So it's that
Yeah.
little, keychain that you get to kind of give your buyer after they get a new home that has a sunflower on it. I think there's so much more to branding than just, your logo. I think the logo is the foundation, but like, how do I put this into my life and like the things that I do? And like, if I'm in the grocery store, someone recognizes me, like that's all about branding too, right? So
Absolutely.
there's so many avenues, and we like to have fun with it. The two of us and myself as a business, I think that's the idea, is standing
Yes.
out in a fun way, but that's authentic to you and what you're about. So
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because we were just talking as well. So just leaning into the professionalism, sometimes, and this is where it's so important to have a professional um on your side for this stuff, because trends come and go. on Instagram. And we won't get into the details of the trends we were talking about, but there was just some stuff that everyone gets on board, and when you step back, it's just like, is this what I want people to be looking at and thinking of me? It is fun. It's lots of fun, but at the end of the day, clients will kind of, if that's all they saw of you, would they hire you?
Correct. I think the trend theme, I mean, I may be of an unpopular opinion here, but it's who I am and what I believe in, and what we've seen works. I think trends are great. They're fun. I think people assume that you're going to get this crazy reach when you hit a trending reel. At the end of the day, if your social media is built organically, you're going to have your home buyers and your clients that are watching that. And does that trend fall in line with your sales and who you are as a person, right? Like if it's just a trend to get, and specifically the one we're talking about, sometimes it's more for a laugh than it really is who you are and what you're about. So I feel if the trend, whatever that be, the audio, the reel, the funny video, if it aligns with who you are and your brand, then absolutely it's beneficial. I think if it's one of those things that you're just jumping on the bandwagon, as a professional, I would advise against that. I'm a firm believer in an idea that comes from you is always going to perform better than an idea that's already been done or is being done by a million people, right? So
For sure.
that's kind of my opinion on the trends. Not to say we
Yeah.
haven't seen them or we haven't grabbed one because it was fun.
Yes.
You'll see a lot of the trends that I jump on board are stuff that I'm like, wow, that really aligns with what I'm trying to do. So
100%. And I will say, and this, I actually haven't told anyone this story yet, but it was really funny. So my husband and I, and Brett, we were away for the weekend, and we were swimming in a pool at a hotel, and it was lots of people around. These two little girls were about 20 feet from us, and so I could hear them. And one of them said to the other, and she was like, POV, I'm a new person coming to the pool and making friends. And then they both went underwater, and they came up, and literally came up, and she's like, hi. And I thought it was so funny because sometimes things go onto social media from real life, and then sometimes social media just comes right back, because I don't think anyone has ever just like out of nowhere just said POV, like point of view. And I thought it was really cool. And I immediately thought of social media, because these kids were just like, yeah, like everyone says that. Everyone says POV, don't they?
yeah, the new lingo, the new slang, absolutely.
Absolutely. And then I guess we're not going to be very long today. I would definitely urge anyone to go and check out your stuff with Merlot Moon Marketing, or check out my stuff, my Krystal Lee Moore, your Home Sweet Home Realtor, because Mackenzie and her team actually put a lot of that content up. So it's pretty cool. But what would you say if you had a few tips to give a realtor or an entrepreneur? What would you say would be kind of the things to focus on, or some things that you would help them with if they first came to talk with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go, I think 2 points here, kind of combine them as well. I think the biggest thing, like a business owner, but especially in social media, is just get out of your own head. I think a lot of the times, like we aim for perfection, but I've noticed it in my own business as well as in a lot of meetings with clients. Like if you're so fixated on being perfect, you're probably never going to get the post up, right? Like a lot of the times it's getting it out and being consistent. So people want to see your post, and right now I think the unfilteredness is doing really well, right? So it goes with, I don't want to say what's trending, but people want to see real people.
For
I
sure.
think especially after COVID, playing off that movement and everything like that, like just really no filters, this is who we are. A
Yes.
lot of people work from home now. I think it's just about getting the content out, which may kind of counterproduct what we say in terms of consistency and scheduling. So I think it's a fine line, which is why we offer that support, because
Right.
only should you kind of get out of your own head as an entrepreneur, but I think it falls into the part of consistency too, and trying not to just throw spaghetti at the wall, right?
Yes.
So to me, if you have your pillars in place or your strategy or your plan, it's very easy to come up with content that falls into that, right?
Right.
But if you don't have the plan or the content pillars, that's really when you're going to sit there for hours and try to figure out, what do I post today?
Right.
So I think the idea is getting the clear message and then giving it once you've got the clear pillars, right?
Absolutely. And I think one thing that I really like, because I was always worried anytime anyone had talked to me in the past about helping me with social media, I was always worried that I would get lost in the mix, that it would just become something that didn't seem like me. So what I really love is that I still have control to post on my stuff. Sometimes overriding the schedule that we have predetermined. Apologies again. But that I can actually do it. I can actually put up if I'm at an event or if I'm supporting something. So pieces of me flow through, even though you do such a great job of showing me through the postings too.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's not one size fits all. I don't think really any business model should be that way, especially in my industry. I think you can understand being a realtor, right? Like
Yes.
it's not one size fits all. And if I look at all my clients and all their brands as one size fits all, then I'm not doing a good job. So at the end of the day, it's figuring out what's the schedule that works for you. How hands-on do you want to be? And
Yeah,
let's do something that works for you and I, right? So I think that's,
absolutely.
yeah, I can't, if I was branding everybody like me, we'd have 100 Merlot moons. We wouldn't have a Krystal Lee Moore. So
Yeah,
I think the idea is having that strategy session and saying, okay, where are we at with your brand? How confident do you feel engaging in social media? What does your role look like? What is mine? And really making a hybrid thing that works in a case like ours, right? And we have clients that, are just like, corporate, I don't want anything to do, we want you full in, and
yeah,
we're totally happy to take that on as well. But I think the idea in terms of a role like you with a real estate, like you are your brand, you are your face, right?
yeah,
So it's important for you to feel like you're still showing up, and we're kind of there to help guide you and help make sure that you're showing up and keep you consistent so
yeah,
that you can go on vacation for 2 weeks and nothing happens, right?
for
So
sure.
our role is to provide the consistency, but also let you be you and kind of guide it to make sure it's aligned, really. So
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you. That's really cool. And then what would you say is kind of if someone's just, what their social media is a mess or they don't even have it yet and they're almost ready to call you, but they're not quite ready, they're not quite there. What would you say is most important when they're setting up an Instagram page, for example?
yeah. So, I mean, if they're kind of wondering, I think that's the first step. If you're wondering, you probably know if there's a problem or that something's not happening, right? So,
Yes.
already the first step. If you feel that there needs to be change, but you're not ready to make it, it's probably about time.
Yes.
I do that with my own website audit or whatever that is, right? Like if I feel like it needs some help, it's probably time that it does. So
Yeah.
that was my first thing. If you're debating picking up the phone, I mean, we offer free discovery calls as well. So let's chat
Nice.
about it. Let's see where you're at. We'll do an audit. We'll kind of tell you we don't know what we don't know. At a first glance, I feel very confident looking at a page. We can kind of tell, your Instagram bio is not set up properly. It doesn't have keywords. It doesn't have, the prompts, the call to action, all of those things we look for. I can tell that at a face value, but we do offer a deep dive where we go in, we kind of assess, here's where we're at, here's the page health, right? So
Nice.
we offer those audits, which is great. And that would be my first step with any client is kind of offering, a health check on where we at, how often are you posting? When we get into an account that's been posting 10 times a day because they're just throwing spaghetti at a wall. Or we get into another account where they haven't been active since Christmas, right? So kind of depends. I think that's the idea of where we come in and say, like, this is where we're at and this is where we need to be. So
For sure.
definitely getting an audit. You don't know if it's broke till you get in there sometimes as
Yeah.
well. So those would be kind of, yeah, my starting points for sure.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining. And it was really great to hear from you. I mean, every time we connect, I feel so good because you're just doing such a great job. And I know that I love my stuff a lot more now that it looks so much more professional. So thank you. And if anyone wants to reach out, Merlot Moon Marketing on Instagram. And is that the best way to reach you? It would be through Instagram or
Yeah,
website.
so website, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, we're on everything. Instagram is definitely where we're kind of blowing up and making most of our contacts. That was a choice in my own branding that we went through as well, is kind of grow one platform at a time and really dive deep. So different ways to do it. But yeah, Instagram is definitely our hotspot. That's where we get to post all our fun stuff. But website, email, anything like that, we're active as well. So
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Mackenzie. I am Krystal Lee Moore Lucier. This is Realtor Life, and thanks, guys, for listening. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to Mackenzie, listen again, and you can get her contact info, or just reach out, Merlot Moon Marketing. Have a great day, guys.